Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, it works better when it's green. Yeah. Okay. Oh, solve that problem. Yeah.
Get the hard ones done first.
Yeah, nailed, man, I tell you.
Okay. All right. Welcome everybody to the Board of Directors of Indian Wells Valley Water District regular board meeting today on Monday, February 9th, and I'll call the meeting to order at 4:30 p.m. With that, would Mr. Mallory Boyd, would you lead us in the pledge?
Flag, repeat after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And could I have a roll call, please?
President Kaczynski,
Present.
Vice President St. Amand is absent. Director Griffin,
Present.
Director Ritora,
Here.
Director Boyd.
Here. Thank you. And with that, can I post the agenda?
The agenda for today's regular board meeting was posted on February 5th, 2026.
Thank you. Number 5, conflict of interest declarations.
President Kaczynski,
None.
Director Griffin,
None.
Director Ritora,
None.
Director Boyd,
None.
and Vice President St. Amand is absent.
Thank you. And with that, I'll entertain any questions or comments on the closed session. And I don't think we have anybody on, do we, Chris? Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn this main session at 4:32 and go to closed session. Thank you. All right. Welcome, everybody, back from our closed session. I will go ahead and reopen our meeting at 6:08. And with that, I'd like our attorney to make his comment about closed session.
Yeah, the board met with staff and legal counsel in executive session. No action was taken that requires disclosure under the Brown Act. There is one announcement, though, just to let everybody know that within the next 1 to 2 weeks, the district is going to go ahead and kick off their recruitment for the new general manager to replace George, who transitioning into an early retirement into Utah at the end of the year. So there'll be some press releases and some social media blasts and stuff like that. So look for that. That should be kicking off in the next couple of weeks. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. With that, I'll move on to item number 8, public questions and comments. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on the agenda and over which the board has jurisdiction. However, no action may be taken by the board of directors on any item not appearing on the agenda. Non-agenda speakers are asked to limit their presentation to 5 minutes. Public questions and comments on items listed on the agenda will be accepted at any time the item is brought forth for consideration by the board. When you're recognized by the chair, please state your name. So do I have any comments from the floor of the public? Yes, sir.
Can you hear?
Yes.
It's on. Okay, now it is on. All right. Mike Neal here. So we're not real close, but we're close enough, obviously, for people to start thinking about the election of seats in various boards. I've lost track as to how many are up for election on this particular board this go around, but it's always at least 2. So my position on that is that you're all doing a great job. You need to stay where you're at, not move on somewhere else. You know, you got experience with the situation, you're going the right directions. You know, we don't need changes, but, you know, don't let that pressure you. The other one is a suggestion, you need a new general manager. I hear that Ron Strand's out of a job, so maybe we'll go talk to him.
You never know. We'll look at all applications, right? Yep. Is there any other comments? Anybody online have a comment? Caller? We're ready for you. Are you there? Are you on mute? Is she on mute? Send her a message. And we'll wait for a moment. Oh, well, I just know. I don't know. I'm psychic. Or psycho, one of them, yeah. Yeah. Hasn't responded? Okay. With that, caller, if you do come back, we'll go ahead and take your comments, but we're going to move on to item number 9, current business and committee reports. This is for the consent calendar, approval of the board meeting, approval of board meeting minutes and accounts payable disbursements, approval of the minutes from January 12th, regular board meeting, January 20th, special board meeting, and approval of the accounts payable. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. To have a second.
Second.
Are there any comments from the board or from the public on the consent calendar? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. And it's 4 yeses, and of course, Mr. David St. Armand is absent. So it passes. Thank you. On to item B, comprehensive groundwater adjudication. Report and discussion regarding the status of the comprehensive groundwater adjudication. Jim, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure, I'll give you a brief report on what's going on there. So we had the hearing on the district's motion to determine the scope that it was allowed to participate in the Searles reverse validation. It was an adverse ruling to the district. The court ruled that we didn't have the authority, that it was pretty much the sole authority of Searles Valley Minerals to go ahead and file the dismissal, which they did pursuant to the agreement. And the judge felt that he was bound to go ahead and honor that dismissal and to enter it, and that's what's happened. So that will move forward. Actually, it won't. That would be the end of the case. The Searles, much like the Mojave Pistachio ruling went. So those are going to go to the wayside for now unless there's an appeal filed, and I'm not sure that that's where the district will go on that. There was also kind of transitioning into the adjudication. There was also an independent discovery conference as part of that hearing, and much like there was a dispute about the scope of the Searles Valley Minerals reverse validation participation by the district, there was also a dispute as to whether or not the district was able to take the deposition of Steve Johnson. The GA objected under various grounds, and there was an informal hearing that was held on Monday. In that instance, the judge agreed with the water district and allowed us to take the deposition of Mr. Johnson, date to be determined, and there will be no restrictions other than those on any other normal depositions. Trials still set for June 1st. We're right now in the middle of the expert, both retained and non-retained experts for all of the various parties. They've been going on. I think we've completed 3 or 4 of them. And then the last thing that I would say under this heading would be the mediation is set for February 18th, and it's going to contain all of the primary pumpers, and the ones that have been actively involved will all be there from the district, the county, city, the Navy, Groundwater Authority, Searles, Meadowbrook, and I believe most Mojave Pistachios as well. So we're going to have all the major players, if you will, at the mediation, and hopefully something something positive will come out of that. We'll see. But that's all I really have to report on the various litigation that's going on.
Thank you, Jim. Are there any comments from the public before I move on to the board?
Yeah, Mike Neal here. So not quite clear what you stated about the reverse validation ruling. Is there not going to be one of those now? Is that what you meant, what you said?
Yes, both of the actions that were challenging the original GSP, one filed by Mojave and one filed by Searles, they've both been dismissed now. Searles did it much like Mojave did, pursuant to the settlement agreement.
And the district has not been allowed to ask for that.
That is correct.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have, go ahead, Judy, and then we'll see if the person online, I'm sure, has a comment.
Judy Decker, just a clarification. Did you say the mediation hearing was going to start February 18th?
Yes, a week from Wednesday.
Thank you.
And I should also clarify that the adverse ruling on this reverse validation action has no impact. District's still going full steam ahead on the adjudication and everything else. That's all.
Thank you. Do we have the caller to have it? Okay.
Yes, can you hear me? This is Renee Westelusk.
Yes, we can, Renee.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I guess, my questions were about the minutes, actually, so
Since you couldn't get on, go ahead back. Yes.
okay. It's mainly about the minutes for the, water, workshop, the workshop that you had.
Yes, the special
It was-
board
That
meeting.
was on January 20th. That was
Ye-
on January 20th.
Yes.
Okay, there's 2 sections that I was wondering why some key sort of hard fact data was not put in the minutes. One has to do with the fact that it was discussed at the meeting about 3,000 Indian Wells Valley water district residential ratepayers, approximately 1/3 or 27.7% of the residential water users are paying the tier 2 replenishment fee. To me, this is a significant finding, and possibly some research should be done into why such a large number of residential ratepayers are paying such a big chunk of the replenishment fee. Maybe there's reasons for it, like they later discussed in another section of the workshop about the leakage. Is there significant leakage going on with these, somewhere with these 3,000 residential customers that they're being put up into the tier 2, that they'd be using so much water? And then I guess the second section, it was brought out in the discussion about the water audit report that water leakage costs the district approximately $251,000 in lost revenue a year. To me, and then they also mentioned about the amount of water lost can be quantified with dividing it all up per customer connection, and they said it's 19.5 gallons per day per customer connection. I don't know, I just think those facts should be in the minutes
Well, typically you don't
of the
get
workshop.
those details usually don't go into minutes because they're part of the agenda packet. All the reports that you're referring to are all part of the agenda packet. If we tried to cover everything in the minutes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Isabel, but you can't, you're not going to reiterate all the findings on the charts and such on here.
Correct. I tried to summarize everything as
Right.
best as possible, yeah.
So it's just a basic summary, but all those kind of details are in the packets that were discussed and distributed to the board during that workshop.
And they're legally compliant, in my opinion.
Yeah, so.
I mean, you could always, you can't put everything in there, and another person might feel just as strongly as Renee does that a different fact or a different calculation should be in there. I think Isabel did a good job, and I think what Renee raised is noted, and if the district wants to do further investigation, they can do that.
And that's what I was going to comment on. We'll make notes. And Chuck, you have a comment?
Yeah, I do. I agree that what Isabel has done is fine.
Yeah.
But I also want to point out to Ms. Westeles, I appreciate what she's
Right.
saying. And that's the reason we had the board workshop, was to get that information from staff. So now we had a workshop, we've received that data, and now we are looking at ways we can approach to maybe make some changes like she's suggesting. So I appreciate her calling, but I understand it not being labeled. We would just be reprinting the whole agenda, and we can't do that. So, but I do appreciate Ms. Westelos calling in.
And I agree. Thank you, Renee, for being so observant of this stuff. It'll also keep us on track. So yes, it is something that was presented to the board. The staff is aware of it. If I'm not mistaken, the board had some questions and directions about the leakage and how much money we can save by working on it. And they will continue to do that. Did you have anything on the comprehensive adjudication?
Well, I just, I didn't get to hear the whole part about the deposition. There's a deposition being required by the water district of the water resource manager of the GA, Steve Johnson.
That's correct. Jim will
Yeah, that's correct. The water district opposed sent a deposition subpoena, if you will, to Mr. Johnson. The GA objected to it. There was an informal hearing on Friday. At the hearing, and the judge agreed with the water district that we could move forward with the deposition of Mr. Johnson, which we intend to do.
Okay, that's all the question I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on comprehensive adjudication before we move on to?
Not for me.
No? Okay.
None from me.
All right, let's move on to the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Report and discussion regarding meetings of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority including board discussion and consideration of issues of importance requiring action by the GA. Next meeting is this Wednesday, February 11th. So let's move on with that. George, you took a look at the packet. I did too, of course. I think the main thing is that I feel I want to talk about a bit is the agenda item 10, approval of the reimbursement agreement between Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority and Indian Wells Valley Water District. I was hoping maybe that either Renee or yourself can give me a summary about what they're trying to do here.
Yeah,
It's up to
I'll
you.
take that. It's fairly simple. The GA has a grant of some $3 million, and we were cooperatively working with them on the Rademacher consolidation. They needed to expense and spend the money from that grant by the end of 2026 and 2026, right? Yep. And so we have worked with them to add another consolidation. So we are going to be doing the Dune 3 consolidation under a contract that's going to be administered by the state. And what we would like to do is to add the Stark Street work onto that contract at the appropriate time. To start down that path, we need to have an agreement with the GA to do that because they want our consultant, Krieger and Stewart, to do the design. So we feel it's a fairly easy call to say that we should enter into that agreement. We can talk about that now, or we can talk about that under the consolidation section, but that's really what that's all about.
Excuse me. I'm going to talk about now because it's a decision that is going to be made at the Groundwater Authority, and now Director Boyd is going to be attending and as the alternate for David. And I just want to make sure everything's correct on this, and that the board agrees and that the staff agrees that what we're seeing here is correct. I read through it. It looks like what you're going to do is it's going to be an additional work to the original contract for Dune 3 that's going to add in Stark.
Yeah, what we plan to do, because it's already going to be a competitively bid contract, the Dune 3 is being paid for by a separate grant. But we'll do a change order to that contractor in order to do the additional work to hook up Stark Street. It's an additional pipeline down Strecker to Stark. And we have gotten the buy-off from both grant managers. It's going to be a separate grant that's paying for that change order.
Okay.
And then, and we can't have the same engineer and, inspectors and things that are doing Dune 3 to also do Stark Street because that's being paid for by a separate grant. So
Okay.
that's why we're doing this change order. The only thing, I only had a chance to look at that briefly, but I believe there might be an error in there because it was built off of the Rademacher agreement we had.
Right.
I think there was a mention in there of our crew doing the work, and
I
that is not
was going to ask you that.
correct,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. That needs to be
So,
probably
we might
adjusted.
want, Jim to take a look because it needs to specify that it is going to be a contractor that gets on board, once the Dune 3 contract is bid out, which should be very soon.
We anticipate it'll be the same contractor.
Yes,
Except they'll be paid by the GA.
So
yes.
Okay.
I think what we would ask the board is that it is staff's recommendation that the conceptual idea of modifying the contract and working with the GA is a good idea. Pending legal review and staff review of the actual agreement, allow us to move forward before the next board meeting. Under that agreement is to begin the design process so that we have a legal mechanism to actually charge the GA for that work.
How's the estimate here? 615,000.
I put that together initially with the idea that it would be our crew that
Okay.
did the work. So I don't know. I mean, that it could be similar, it might be less.
Okay.
But that includes everything, construction and engineering and,
Right. But you won't know that number until the contractor is on site doing Dune 3.
Right.
Then
once-
you're going to request a change order
yes.
based on our engineering for them to do the installation.
And hopefully it would be
Start.
based on the numbers we get from the Dune 3 bid,
Okay.
which does include 12-inch and
And-
8-inch pipeline.
And I believe it's our understanding that the GA has more than enough funds beyond that number. They have additional funds beyond that
Yeah.
$650,000 in case the contractor came back with a higher number. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it seems like it would wrap up this year. Because,
Construction needs to be completed by the end of November,
okay, so,
the GA's grant.
great. And will the GA be paying the contractor directly? Or would they pay us and then we pay the contractor? Or we don't know that yet?
You know, that is a good question.
Yeah, okay,
I think that we would submit any invoices from the contractor directly to the GA
okay,
to submit to Department of Water Resources. The way it's working with Dune 3 is that's the way it'll go. The contractor won't be paid until the reimbursement comes in from the state. So it most likely would be the same scenario.
okay. And a couple of things that came to mind is everybody is in agreement at the Stark Street area? I understood that some said, no, we want to continue with our own well. And that could be a stumbling point as far as I'm concerned, that you may have some parties that want to hold out and say, man, we don't want this done. And then I believe the other one was anything to do with easements and things like that. Are we going to be able to get through that?
So
timeframe.
if you notice on the agenda for the GA is also the contract for the right-of-way consultant.
Right.
And that's going to include the last few that we need in Rademacher plus
Okay.
Stark Street.
All right.
The time frame is a little longer than I would like to see, but I think they said 3 or 4 months, something like that. But I think as far as Stark goes right now, they don't have a reliable source of water. They're
Yeah.
hauling water. So if our main line came down the street and a lateral went to their property and a meter box was put there and they want to continue to pay on their own to haul water,
Right.
maybe they
Yeah,
can do that.
They could be faced with the prospect of just turning into water haulers who have to pay for their own water,
Okay.
which I think if I was there's always the possibility that someone would rather be a water hauler, but right now the state is paying for that. And I believe they said, was it $100,000 a year the state's paying or something like
It's
that?
a lot and
Where's the water coming from?
coming from us.
Yeah. Who are we billing for that? Is
The state is being,
The state is.
yeah,
okay.
the state's paying for it, which is why they want to get them off of water hauling
Right,
and
okay.
get them on a permanent solution.
How does the state gonna cover the meter hookup too and the meter fee?
They are covering the connection fees, yeah.
Okay.
That's a good deal.
They aren't covering, right now, the GA is still working on how they can get covered the work that has to be done on the private property itself to connect to the meter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mr. Boyd, do you have any questions about this? Because you're going to be sitting up there.
Just a point of clarification. So it sounds like you're thinking that we would just roll ahead, put the infrastructure in, including the meters, whether or not the parcel owners
Well,
want the meters?
The meter itself won't be put in unless the customer comes in and signs up for an account.
Okay, but
Um,
the line will be there.
but the line would be there, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Mhm.
No, I think I can get any of those questions resolved. We've got a 10 o'clock.
Okay, yeah, with Jim, with those things explained to me and understood, as long as legal has seen this and Renee has seen it, and we're just like George said, we're just agreeing to the concept of doing it this way right now.
Yes.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, as I understand it, I have not seen the agreement yet.
Correct. It just came out in the packet today.
Okay, so I haven't reviewed it, but it's my understanding it's based off of the Rademacher reimbursement agreement, and we're gonna do some tweaking to make it particular to the Stark Street. But what we're looking for is approval from the board to enter into that agreement prior to the next board meeting because of the time frame crunch that we're under.
Right.
We need to enter into that agreement and get Krieger and Stewart working on the plan. So if something came up in the agreement that was out of the ordinary, something that we had not discussed with you today or previously, or wasn't in the Rademacher agreement, we would bring that to the board's attention and
Okay.
not move further.
The last question I have is about it's outside of our district's assignment, LAFCO assignment. How are we going to handle that?
So I spoke with Blair at LAFCO today, was able to get a hold of him, went through that, and it's called an emergency, not emergency, it's something there is a service agreement that can basically be processed in a matter of days. It's a very quick application process, doesn't take a lot. And that would allow us to move forward knowing that we have LAFCO's permission to serve people outside of the district's boundary. But that is a temporary okay. And once we receive that, then we would go ahead and start to work on the regular application process to bring them within the district boundaries, to a regular annexation process.
Great, thank
So
you.
LAFCO won't be a problem on this short term.
Stan, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I have two points. One is that we did discuss, this is something that's brand new. We did discuss this at the P&E committee
Okay.
meeting. And the staff has already
On board.
given that,
Okay.
given us that information. A second point is that the last month's meeting, I made the comment that I thought that Kern County was not complying with either the joint powers agreement or the bylaws. And Jim was going to look up to see if he agreed with me or not. Have you made any progress on that?
That's sort of a, can we close this one out first before we go on to that one? Because I want to ask, do I need to get consensus from the board to move ahead with this project? Oh, Chuck has one more comment.
I guess that's my question, because I was gonna make that motion if that's what we need to do, but it looks like to me we're on item C, which is the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. And I see Rademacher and all of the discussion, which it says we can take action on item E. So do we need to wait until then?
Let's make legal make that call. I noticed it's all of a sudden it's under consolidation.
Yeah.
Can we make it now?
When you told George that you wanted to take the conversation up now, I'm assuming that we're going under the Stark Street agenda item
Okay.
and that we will complete it, and we are looking for board action.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second on this.
We're looking for board, and to be clear, the motion we're looking for is authorization to enter into the reimbursement agreement for Stark Street construction, subject to staff and legal, once we're okay with it, so we can move forward.
Do you remember to make that motion like that?
Yeah.
So
moved.
what I'll do is I'll go ahead and ask for a motion on this and a second, and I'll open it further comment from the public.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
Don't move.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. Is there any more discussion for the board before I move to the public? All right, I'll move on to the public. I see we have one, Judy Decker. We're making her way to the podium.
Yes, I have several questions, actually. You have discussed this several times. And my question is, we have Dune 3 up here, and we have Stark Street down here. How are you going to get from one to the other? And are you going to connect then to the Calvert line?
No, they're going to be connected to the intersection of Strecker and Drummond. There's going to be pipelines installed as part of the Dune 3 project. So that 12-inch line on Strecker will continue to south to Stark Street.
And we'll go no farther.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Caller? Nothing from the caller out there? Okay. So I'm not hearing any more comments or questions from the board, so I can call for the vote.
President Kaczynski,
Yes.
Director Griffin,
Yes.
Director Rotora,
Yes.
Director Boyd,
Yes.
and Vice President St. Amant is absent.
Thank you. Is there any other thing on the Groundwater Authority, George, that we need to cover that you think? I didn't,
I would.
that's right, yeah, let's go on with your,
I would like
Yes.
to, yeah, I think as we ended the last meeting, Jim was going to either agree or disagree with my analysis that, or assessment that the county is not in compliance.
I do not disagree with your analysis.
Okay, I guess my feeling is that, we need to do something so that they will take us seriously. And I guess one option so that we actually get their attention is that until they actually do their job, we just withhold our payments both payments to them. And that's something I would like to see the board consider.
I don't know, do I have any comments there?
I will, I'll prepare something. We've talked about the potential need, for another board meeting. Stan, I would like to, I'll bring something further for the board to consider, something
Okay.
more concrete for you. But that's.
Yeah, I truly, appreciate that. Bring something forward. Keep in mind everything that's going on, of course, all the mediations and adjudications and everything else that's happening.
It's hard to forget.
Yeah, I know.
So just for clarification, Stan, are you saying the pumping fee and the replenishment fee?
Both the extraction fee and the replenishment fee. We've only got so many ways of getting the attention, and my feeling is that might be the quickest way that they actually take us seriously.
So I will, just a quick comment, if we're done with all these other issues. At the GA meeting, they did announce I guess they were going to put together a new website, and they said, oh, we're going to get rid of all our, a lot of the historical data. Our amazing IT tech, Chris, was able to go find a thing and download all the stuff that they might possibly get rid of off the current website. And we have saved that so that we have references for all the, various things we might need to look at in the future. So that was kind of cool.
It's still up because I was able to go back and look at some things as far back as 2017, but I appreciate that if I need something. Thank you. Wait, you got something, Chuck?
I'm not sure what I want to comment.
Or do you want Mike to comment first and you could?
Understand what Stan's feeling. But I also want to make note that we are going into mediation this next week. And I think that if we can say maybe this is a chance to have a good faith working relationship, I would like to see if that can work. Because mediation's there and maybe we can come together and work something out before we go to that process that Stan's talking about.
The mediation is for the safe deal.
I understand that, but
Go, yes.
I'll bring something back for you guys at the next board meeting.
Let's just leave it at that. Yes. All right. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mike Neal. So as to what was just discussed, it's, I've been advocating what Stan suggested for a long time. I'm glad to hear it come from one of the members of the board. I think you probably are going to have to do that at some point. The GA has been recalcitrant in listening to much of anything from this district for quite some time. So, you got to do something. The other thing I just wanted to take opportunity to whoever happens to listen to this to be made aware there's a new Facebook page put up by the taxpayers for accountability for our groundwater. I believe they had their first semi-public meeting last week, sometime I believe on Thursday. Doesn't have a lot of members, but it probably is going to grow quite a bit. It has some members that are the kind of people who really know what they're doing and how to get heard. So this may help out since we now have two other economic coalitions in this valley that have been against GA's machinations for quite some time. It's starting to look like the GA is making themselves very unpopular, and in Facebook groups, if they're used properly, such as in this last post of theirs where they point out that $25 million has been spent by the GA in the last decade for attorneys, lobbyists, and consultants. Just the kind of thing I want to pay fees to a government agency for.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments about this agenda item, Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority?
Yes,
Go ahead, since I got you on, and Judy, you're next.
yeah, this is Renee West-Delusk. I am dramatically opposed to anyone that suggests withholding funds, whether it be the GA or Medicaid funds from the state of California, because we're not on someone's favorite list, okay? Number one, the fees are in there legally, and the water district mainly collects the fees. You're just basically a collection agency for those fees. You have no right to stop paying them. So I think anyone that suggests withholding funds from the GA because there's some dispute about some joint powers agreement details is ludicrous. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Judy, you had something?
I have a question for Jim. If the mediation hearing, if that's the correct term to use, is about safe yield, how then are you going to go forward with the safe yield part of the adjudication process in June? I'm confused here.
Well, one, the mediation, we are attempting to settle the safe yield. I don't know how it's going to go. A lot of it will depend upon the mediator, but the answer is, if by some chance there's a resolution of the mediation, it could in fact make the need for the June 1st safe yield trial unnecessary if all the parties can agree.
That's such a simple answer, Jim, that can't possibly be coming from an attorney.
But it is the answer.
Gordon, 70 years ago. No.
A judge loves nothing more than if all the parties can come together and come in and say, hey, we all agree on something. He would absolutely love it. I got my fingers crossed. Yes, I hope not, yeah. Okay, before we move on off of groundwater authority, are there any other questions, or our representative, do you have anything that you want to ask the board before you move on?
No, I've got a meeting scheduled tomorrow
Okay.
to get the insights of council and the general manager, and I think that'll properly prepare you for
I
the
see something from here from,
Oh, I just have I put together the next slide for you.
okay, great.
Then,
I'm glad you did, because I would have forgotten that. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, this is, I've been asked by a number of people about the amount of money that's being collected from, for the replenishment fee. And this is where we stand at the end of 2024 per the audit. Okay. We may be able to do some estimates on 2025. Well, before they have the audit out, I will attempt to do that, but I will note that it's definitely not audited. But as you can see that 13.5 million has been paid in replenishment fee, 100% for the water district. They've transferred 2.7 million to their pumping fee or extraction fee usage, which more than likely is administration general fund. The plan is to repay that back to replenishment fee. The replenishment fees remaining is fund as cash is 6.6 million. And the fees spent on water purchase, so if you do the math there, $4.3 million has already been spent on water purchasing. So I think it's important. I'll work with Ty. We'll keep trying to update this. Hopefully, we can come up with some ideas for 2025. I think with some of these groups are getting together, asking about how much money is spent and what's going on, it's important we have this. I don't know if we can do this with a pumping fee or if it's really worthwhile, more or less just how much is spent. And then also I am working on total amount spent since this whole thing started. Since that group has come out and stated a number, I'm going to get as accurate as I can on that number so we don't be throwing things around that aren't right. So in the future, you'll see something come out about total amount spent by year by the Groundwater Authority. And with that, thank you so much, Ty. Looks better than the one I sent you. Or is it the same one? I can't tell.
it's the same one.
Oh, okay. You were supposed to clean it up and make it look financial.
Why mess with perfection?
Oh. Whew. Man, okay. Are there any comments on this before we move on?
Mike Neal, so not having a lot of time to actually digest this, it's pretty blatant that when you say fees spent on water purchase, isn't about Prop 218, $4.3 million in 2024, 2.8 in 2023, but yet, am I incorrect in understanding they have yet to purchase 1 single acre foot of water allocation?
That's correct, but to give a little credit, if you look at the Indian Wells Groundwater Authority engineers report for adoption of a basin replenishment fee, it does say that those fees can be spent on anything related to water, such as whether it be litigation or planning or other things. So it's pretty much stated in that report. I'm looking for the exact verbiage exactly, but the bulk of it, and let's put it this way, 52.4 million was to be spent on water purchase, and another $377,500 was to be spent on administration, negotiation, and legal costs. So of the total amount they want to collect, the 52.8 million, just around 378,000 was going to be spent on everything except water purchase.
And don't add up across on the rows.
Yeah,
Each one's a snapshot, so
yeah,
they spent 4.3 million total.
total.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it doesn't-
gotcha.
yeah.
Up to 12, but still, 4.3 million, I mean.
Through
Right.
24, correct.
And their plan was for administration, negotiations, and legal costs for looking for water was there, over the course of 5 years, they were going to spend 377,000. So that's good information. As you know me by now, I'm a stickler for these numbers and the facts that they show, so I will always continue to go there.
So when we have the 25 number, we can get that out, and then we could take what's left of what they say was going to be the total, right? Which was
52.8 million.
So we're not halfway there yet. And
Well-
the district's the only one paying it.
The 52 million, according to the report, was divided amongst all those people that were paying the plenty. The only thing this thing states, it doesn't say one person's paying it. It's going to be split over 5-year period by the ones who are required to pay it based on the charts and such.
Yeah. But
So
no,
I
it's
don't know
within
where,
the
I don't know what that means exactly.
So that's my concern
Yeah.
is that we still have another 27, 28 million.
Yeah, if there's,
We're looking into that. The intention was, and I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was 50 million they were going to raise, and approximately half of it was attributable to the district. So
Right,
about
yeah.
25 million of that was intended to come from the district ratepayers. That's all.
yeah, what,
My understanding from it was that we would pay half, Cerros Valley would pay half. And now, of course, there's an agreement between the GA and Cerros where they're not gonna pay anything, is my understanding, in that most recent Cerros agreement with the GA. So the 50 or 52
.8
has
million.
been changed by the GA.
That's correct. It should the fact that they're not collecting should reduce the amount of water needed to come through that pipeline because they're not going to get anything through it. So
At some point, this needs to be looked at real close. I'm reading it the best I can from a layman's standpoint. What I said I'm concerned about is that once we pay our fair share, as it's described in this engineering report, are we done? And I don't know, I can't tell the answer to this. Jim's gonna have to look at it. But it's all in the engineering report, Jim. There's nothing in the ordinance at all. Yeah. So I'll continue to bother you with that one as I try to analyze it. But yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments before we move on? Thank you for reminding me on this one, Ty. Everything we went through on it. Yeah. More to come. Okay.
My comment is that perhaps a question should be raised with the GA as to, excuse me, the future situation with the wastewater treatment water and the condition that Searles Valley Minerals now has placed itself with reducing its employees by over 60%.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything in the agenda for today to discuss any of that. I didn't see any,
Interesting.
yeah,
Something for you all to think about.
I agree, Judy.
absolutely, Judy. Thank you. Okay. Are we ready to move on? Chuck, you're going to get to the podium and say something, or? You're- Okay, if I hear no other comments, no one on the line, we'll move on to the general manager update.
Okay, nothing really significant as far as service outages and emergencies or such. So that's good news. There are a couple of legislative updates, AB 1413. We haven't seen any movement on that. I did look into House Resolution 4553 up in Washington DC, the Energy and Water Development Appropriations Act of 2026. This is the bill where you would normally see funding for WRDA. So I pulled it up. It hasn't yet been passed. There are essentially two ways that you would see funding from that bill go to the Groundwater Authority to fund the pipeline. One would be, it would be directly written in, and I have not seen anything that shows that there's a direct, sort of congressionally directed, like one of our congressional members would have to say, hey, I want this money to go here. That is one path, and we do not see that. The other path is there's just sort of a lump sum giving to the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have the discretion and they make a plan and they say, here's where we're going to spend it on the hundreds of projects that are in the various programs, including the Environmental Infrastructure Program under which the GA has applied for funding. So just tracking that. I don't anticipate we would see anything this year, but you never know. It's just something that we're tracking. There was,
Question.
yes,
So what department oversees the WRDA program?
this would be the Army Corps of Engineers. So the,
AOC?
yeah, so the Army Corps in DC makes the plan of sort of like, here's where we're going to spend it, and then they send the money to the proponents. There was another one that came in late that's not on my briefing, but I will just say that there is a bill going through Sacramento, sort of on an expedited status, and that bill refers to what I believe is called Prop 4 funding. Prop 4 funding is funding that we would love to access to help implement projects to improve the water, to implement projects to increase the water supply here, whatever those projects might be. Unfortunately, when that Prop 4 was passed, there were a bunch of administrative hurdles that normally are not applied to this type of funding, which they forgot to say, oh, you're exempt from all these things. So now this bill is going in and it is saying, we want to exempt this funding from all these administrative hurdles that will delay and, cause issues with this funding to be issued. And literally somewhere around 100 water agencies have all signed up and said, we're in support of this. I'm a big proponent to say, I think we should, as a water district, also support this, because if we can get Prop 4 funding for whatever project, that could be anything from pipeline replacements that we do, infrastructure we do, issues to help solve our water problems, it would help expedite that funding to come to us. So just letting you know that I would, I'm probably going to ask that our representative up in Sacramento throw our name on the list of the hundreds of water agencies that are eligible for this funding. It seems like a pretty no-brainer, just to bypass a lot of bureaucracy. Just looking for any comments from the board.
George, I would like the board to agree on that. We could actually, if you wanted to put something together, a packet of what that is for the board, so we can give a specific approval as a board to it. Like as Brenda said, if we did it in a March meeting, that'd be fine. And there's a lot of advantage to it. And she also recommends that we jump on board, but I still think it's important that we stay very transparent on this, and the board each get a chance to look at it, and we bring it to this board for an approval for the district to sign on as a supporter of this. And if that happens, it goes into the Aqua thing and the whole bit. I think it's important that the board understand fully. So George, if you can put something, the bill together or a synopsis of the bill, bring it back for a specific discussion. I want to stay transparent to the public that we are supporting a particular bill and why.
Okay.
Even though it's a no-brainer, I
And
still
yeah,
think we
well,
need
yeah,
to.
Brenda sent us the stuff and I believe
Right.
I'll get that forwarded to you guys. I was under the impression it was being expedited to the point that it may be done before the next board meeting, but that's okay.
No, she said March would be just fine on it.
Okay.
Because by the time it goes through everything it has to go through, we would just be signing on to it. But if you find out otherwise, which then let us know.
Okay.
Okay.
Personnel, so I'll move on to personnel safety. Let's see, Mike has a comment. Oh, Mike's leaving. Okay, so nothing significant to report on the personnel safety side, so that's good. Next slide. Was there anything in the other one, the admin executive meeting? I'm looking at stuff that in admin exec, we had this discussion, how to inform the public on the cost of the pipeline and what data we should be presenting and how we should be presenting it. So that didn't come up in this discussion, but it was discussed at admin exec.
It's still being worked on.
Yeah, still being worked on. Everything else at the other committee meetings is going to generally be covered elsewhere here. In the public outreach and meetings, John and Caleb continue to work on the Chamber of Commerce leadership class, and that's been going well. As was mentioned before, there is a grassroots public event that was held last week on the pipeline. And it's worth mentioning that this is not sponsored or promoted by the water district. This is just public people. So, if people believe that we're, the sponsor of that, we are not. In February, we have the EOC conferences, and we will have a booth there and a table for board members. So I'll need to know which board members are going to be showing up for the Economic Outlook Conference here in a week or two. And I think we can move on to, unless we have questions, we can move on to my next slide.
Yeah, what was the specific date for the EOC? Sorry?
26.
26.
That's the chamber
Yeah.
conference. Yeah. the
Yeah,
26th.
Chamber of Commerce.
I want to make a quick comment about the Aqua Conference in Sacramento in May. I'm not going to be able to attend. I just have too much going on to get up to San Francisco. So anybody else who, if they need to go or they want to go, they need to let Isabel know tonight.
Yeah.
That's my next slide.
Yeah. Oh, is that? I'm sorry.
It
I
is.
thought you were on your
Okay,
attendance.
next slide,
request.
conference attendance request. Aqua
Okay.
Spring Conference in Sacramento is now open for registration. I need board member requests that want to attend. It'll be May 5 to 7. So as Ron said, Ron won't be able to make it, but if other board members want to go, these registrations fill up pretty quickly and you're not going to get in the hotel where the conference is at if you don't
Right.
go soon. And then you'll be staying someplace where maybe there's no hot water, as happened to us before.
Done that. So being the other active member of Aqua, I have to report, I sort of regret. I'm going to be in the middle of an 18-day cruise from Sydney to Honolulu.
Boy, I would regret
Well,
that.
I think you should give that up just to put Aqua.
So I will
It-
not be able to make the Sacramento.
Keep in mind, it's not absolutely necessary. They do a fall one as well.
That's
So-
what I've been going to.
Yeah.
We all need to make sacrifices, though.
Just tell my wife that I need to leave the ship early.
So in addition to that, there is, on April 2nd, there is the Managed Aquifer Recharge Conference in Sacramento. It is on April 2nd. It's one day, but pretty valuable since that's something that's a pretty kind of a key part of what we will probably do in the future. So just letting you know that we will probably be requesting to send some staff member, probably from engineering.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And that's my report unless anybody
Okay.
has questions.
No, that's it. As far as the spring conference, I wish I could go. And of course, Mallory can't go. And I'm not sure about David, but just too busy. Maybe the fall one. May's a bad time. A lot of stuff going on in May, isn't there, Jim?
It falls hard because it's right after Thanksgiving. It's that very first week.
And football season starting. Okay, let's move on, George. I'm sorry to,
Yeah, no, I'm done. So
okay,
I think that would move us on to engineering.
all right.
All right, so the first item is the consolidations, and number one on there is the Intercurrent CSD. I don't believe there is any updates. I don't know. I don't think there's any updates right now officially that we have that we can share with
Okay.
anybody, but, so we're just waiting to hear back from the state on what's going to be next. Rademacher / Gordon Street, I should say, is that phase 2. The GA is hiring a right-of-way consultant to assist with getting the last easements It may take a few months. So we will have to wait for those to be in place before we can move our construction crew over there to do that Rademacher Way and Gord Street extension. But I'll keep you updated, and hopefully it won't take as long as
Okay.
the consultant thinks it might take, so. If there's no questions, I'll move on to Dune 3. We should be going out to bid here pretty soon. I've got some final plans. I've looked at the specifications and the contract documents, had some changes that they needed to make, and they've sent that back. I just haven't had a chance to look at it yet. And we've also requested to the state to start the bidding process and go out to bid, and we haven't, we're just waiting to hear back from the state on that.
Okay.
And of course, Stark Street, you know what's going on there. I put Hometown back on here this month because the state came back and asked us to revise the contract with the state. We're going to revise the beginning date to be a little sooner to cover some of our expenses that were soon. And then they want to change the end date to like 2029, just in case something happens in the next few years.
So they're
And
giving Hometown an opportunity?
They're giving Hometown
Wow.
opportunity. They're giving the Division of Drinking
Which state are we talking about?
State Water Resource Control, yeah. So, yeah, so they want to give the Division of Drinking Water an opportunity to go through the process, I think, of some of the issues that, Hometown is supposed to be working on and whether or not they're going to get that done or not. And just so that the funding doesn't go away.
Can the state urge them? Can the state be calling up who's ever responsible for their mutual?
Believe me, the
By the
Division
way,
of Drinking Water is working on that.
okay, great.
And it is more than
Because,
just calling
yeah,
people
they're not
up,
going to
yes.
talk.
They've received notices and the things that they have to get done.
And get, my concern here isn't that we're taking over water districts to consolidate. My concern is that if you have an opportunity to, in my opinion, to better what's going on and the state's going to pay for it, you need to take advantage of that, because if that goes away, then you end up in if you change your mind, you end up in an assessment district or somewhere else to pay for it that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that, that I'm glad the state's involved, and I want people to understand. I'm not out there saying, man, we're hostile takeover. No. But
No.
they do, yeah.
But there's a process that they're going through on that,
Okay.
so they just want to give them some more time.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any comments or questions for Renee on the consolidations? Nope.
All right, if not, I'll move on to Brady Street. I do have a couple of, I'm
Yes.
sorry, go ahead.
My comment is, it's kind of general, but there's literally hundreds of small mutuals, co-ops that are going to be in trouble. One of them was already mentioned in the discussion of the Stark Street issue, something called Yellowbird that's directly, I guess, to the west of the Stark Street system. And is the state going to make the water district take over all of these small systems? I find it to be a big concern. Oh, there's my phone.
I'll answer that while you're walking there.
Go ahead.
It's up to the individual mutual or well owner, whoever. But it's also up to, if the state feels that they need to make a move, such they may be doing with Inyakern, that's up to them. But no, I mean, we're not intending to say, let's run lines to tie everybody together. I can tell you that the state is all for consolidating wherever they can. So you never know what to expect out of them.
Yeah.
It may or may not be fair, but the state's policy has been to consolidate for some time, and their attitude is going more and more toward the consolidation
Yes.
route. So it's not something that we control or want to control at all. The state is going in that direction, and there's nothing we can do about it.
It's okay. Tell them he said hello.
That's okay, but I think Rademacher is a really good example. The Water District is also committed fully to ensuring that our customers have the highest quality water that is free of the contaminants. And with Rademacher, when you talk about contaminant levels 10 times over legal limit for arsenic, those are good reasons to, have consolidations occur, so that people have clean, safe drinking water for their families. So, we are always in support of making sure people have good water to drink.
Okay, any other comments or questions before we move on? We're on to Brady Street, right?
Yes, and I do have some pictures. We can start with the first one. You can kind of zoom in on your tablets and see that. So on the right side, they're digging, and on the left side, they're they're compacting, basically. They're putting the soil back in and doing the compacting. They got the compaction attachment there to the backhoe. And then the blue thing you see in the trench there that's the shoring. And on the second photo, you can see how the shoring works. Keeps it open, keeps it available for them to get in. And then if there's any, sandy soil that might come in around, then that protects them. And they can just drag that along as they're digging. So it works really well.
How many feet is it?
So right now, an update from what it was last week, we're almost at 1,500 lineal feet as of the end of the day today.
How many feet do you get per,
About 100 feet a day is what
with
they're
this,
doing.
with this device?
Oh, how long is that?
How
Yeah,
long
just
is-
the 20 feet. Yeah.
Okay, so 20 feet.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Mhm. Yeah,
They
they're moving
all
along.
good, yeah.
I would imagine if things are going well, it could be by March, could be within 3 weeks or so. Yeah. And then, of course, they'll have to go back and do the disinfection, pressure testing, all that too. So we can get it back in service for the summer.
And this is really promising for the, extensive amount of pipe replacement that we're looking at as we go through the next 5 to 10 years. So, we're pretty pleased with these initial steps, and they've certainly exceeded my expectations. Staff is awesome. Engineering is awesome. I think we're doing they're doing a great job,
Yeah.
Nothing but compliments for them.
Yeah, the crew out there has really got a good thing going, yeah.
Thank you.
That's all I've got. I think I have, yeah. So we did our inspections, and I think I told you guys last month, and I took a look at the reports. And so you can go to the next slide, Isabel. Just the most important thing, is there were 9 tanks they get the sediment cleaned off the bottom, and then the company does a thorough inspection. They start from the outside of the tank. They look at all the coating, the exterior. They look at the appurtenances on the exterior. They look at the ladder going up to the top of the tank, the hatch, the vents, the roof, and then they go down inside the tank and they take a look at the interior coating, the roof coating, all the appurtenances inside the tank. And so, there were several minor type items in the tanks that you would expect. But the most important thing I just want to bring to the board was that there were 4 tanks that they were recommending we have the interior recoated. And so I have those listed there, and it's supposed to say last recoated instead of last, but there's a T missing. So the C-Zone, the older C-Zone tank was last recoated 2012. The D-Zone was brand new in 2011, which has now been 15 years ago, hard to believe.
Yeah.
Ridgecrest Heights, I didn't find any evidence that it's ever been recoated since 1992, which I think goes to show you that the coating that was put in 30 years ago was probably better quality than what they put in now. And that's because they took all of the volatile chemicals and things out of it, just like
right.
lead out of paint,
Can't
paint
use
was
half the stuff
probably
you're
better.
supposed to put in it anymore, yeah.
Asbestos in pipe would made it
Right.
wrong. And then the Springer tank was last recoated in 2012. So it has been some time for these. So we will be working on budgeting these items over the next fiscal year or maybe the year after. We'll have to see. We don't have a second D-Zone tank anymore. The small tank that used to be the only one up there, the 100,000 gallon one, was damaged during the earthquakes. So we're going to look at what it might take to get that back up again, if we can rehab it. Instead of replacing it. When we went out to bid to have the new tanks this last time, it was on the bid list, but it came in at like $1 million and we were over budget, so we cut that one.
Okay.
So we'll
is this
be
D-zone
discussing
tank-
that.
Is this D-zone tank one of two up there? The one to mention here?
Yeah, there's two up there. One of them is no longer in service.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it makes it harder when you have to do work on one. You can't take it out of service if you don't have the redundancy. So that's the only zone now where we don't have that
So what
redundancy.
you're gonna do is look at the one that's out of service now and see if it's better off to try to bring that one up to standard.
Yes, if we could rehabilitate
Then
it
you can
somehow.
go
and
over and you
get
could back
Mhm.
and forth. Yeah, okay.
Or replace it. We'll see.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions or comments from the board on the engineering report? Anything from the caller? Go ahead, caller.
Yes, this is Renee West Delusk. I just want to know, how long is the Brady transmission line? How many feet?
That they're doing right now, it's about 2,500 feet that they plan to do this year. So though,
Is-
yeah, it's
Will
about
it be-
half
will
a
it be
mile.
completed? Will it be completed this year?
That section to Ward Street, yes.
But then
Will
you
they-
need to replace even more of it?
Yeah, so
Yes.
the entire project is gonna go all the way to the
To Bowman.
Bowman tanks, correct?
hmm
Okay, and that is about how long in total? I mean, just guess.
Can't remember off the top of my head. It's several miles.
Yeah,
Several
it's gonna
miles,
be
so 10 or
15,000 feet at least.
15,000 feet.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Then we're gonna do some part of that, and then we'll do some next winter. What you need to understand is that the reason we do it in sections is we reconnect the pipe, because during the summertime, we need that transmission line fully functional to supply water, the demand in the summertime. So we're doing it in sections. So what they'll do is they'll finish that part and they'll connect it to the existing pipe, and then it'll be put in service for the summer. And then the following winter, we will take on another chunk. This first year was, we were probably conservative in what we did, and we will probably expand and do more in following years as we build our processes and get everything in place. So hopefully that helps explain sort of the long-term plan of what's supposed to happen with that pipeline.
So this is going to take like actually a few years to do, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
thank you. Anything else on this subject? All right, let's move on to the financial update.
Okay, so the first is year-to-date water consumption use. It does say December on there. I'm sorry, it is through January. So you can see we have about a 5% decrease in consumption from 2025 to 2026. That's about where we budgeted. We always budget at like 95% because
Well, I saw it in January. It was a total pumping in January, just shocked the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Really low, lowest I've ever seen it. Yeah.
yeah, which gives us actually another credit on the GA replenishment fee. So,
Oh,
so that'll be fun.
exactly.
Yeah, okay, so any questions on that?
No. Well, I'm going to make a
Yeah.
comment real quick. Is questions been asked to me about, and actually, the water district's been accused of not helping or how should I say, it, encouraging our users, our ratepayers to conserve. So just so, so we know for public, at one point we were pumping around 9,100 to 9,200 acre feet a year. And now we're what, 55, 57, somewhere 54, 55. That's a huge, huge amount of savings that our district customers has done in conservation. So if anybody ever accuses us of not encouraging conservation, just relay those numbers.
You can tell too, just driving around town, the zero escape
Yeah.
compared to
A lot of it.
10 years, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the city recently. They're doing some projects to reduce some of the green areas and some of the medians around town still. And so there's still water conservation going on by
Yeah.
the city and by our customers, and, you know.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, next.
Okay, second is Giving you an update on the solar site security. As of right now, we have all but one camera installed. We had a little snafu with one of the cameras, so we're working on that. And that camera's at well 30. I think someone asked about what the cost for the licenses and whatnot is for the cameras, and it's about $4,500 a year, which is pretty cheap insurance.
Yeah,
You know, they do
Insurance and everything.
$100,000 of damage.
yeah.
I
One of them
believe-
Ravens might get up there and tear it apart.
I believe NG or Optera, whichever one they are now, is supposed to be here next week to complete install or repair of the solar sites, well 30.
Okay. When they're all together, is there, well, I don't say all together, it'd be nice if Chris can come in and do a short presentation with actual photo, what's going on with the cameras, because it's just amazing how these things can zoom in and what we can see and what we can't see. So I don't know, it's a thought to do something for the public so they see what we've done out there.
He would be happy to attend one of these meetings.
I think he would. And
And-
tell him Stan suggested it.
And once again, credit to our in-house teams that did this. They did everything from pouring the concrete to putting the poles in to wiring the cameras. I mean, it's an incredibly diverse skill set that our team has here, and a lot of credit goes out to them. If we'd have had to do this by contract, I'm sure Ty would not have been happy about that number.
Not that I'm not happy.
When do
Well, it
you,
would have been more
I just
expensive.
get concerned.
when does the trailer that we're renting go away?
March.
Okay.
So we'll be up just in time to send that back.
Great.
And that trailer's at well 30 for any of those criminals who are looking to go steal our copper again, don't do it.
Don't, yeah.
All right. Ahead.
Okay. For the financial update, to date, we have just under 10.9 million in revenues. Expenditures are hitting at just over 10.4 million, so that's 470,000 net positive, which is about 600,000 better than we anticipated being at budget. And you see a slight decrease or shortfall in revenue, not much, 200,000 over for water sales out of 7.8 million. So we're kind of hitting that 95% mark I mentioned earlier. We are down on capital contributions, but those are the grants that come in as we do work like Rademacher and whatnot,
Right.
Dune 3. Capital expenditures to date, just over 1.1 million, and about 500,000 of that is funded by either bonds or grants. 656,000 debt service principal, and then we have paid 3.67 million in extraction fee and 15,803,000 replenishment fee to date.
Ouch.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
A couple more items. We sent out 546 leak alerts. So when we do notice our program recognizes leaks, we send those out to everyone, even the tier 2 users. So, and then the turnoffs, we had 72 lockoffs last month.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments for Ty? Anything from the public?
I would, George, if you could see that I got the water to date, water use view graph that was in here, the first one,
Oh, okay, yes.
and throw in the last months as well, if you would, please.
Okay. Take a note.
All right. With that, I guess we'll move on to operations update.
Yeah, good evening. So real quick, it's already mentioned that water supply had been working on installing pouring the concrete and installing the poles for cameras. They've also been doing maintenance on all the well motors. So they're keeping those primed for pumping, even though it's been low. We had to repair a coil on the well 35 motor. And they've also done additional state sampling in regards to normal routine samplings we do. So it's been a busy past month for them as well. We can go to the heat map. I didn't really update the heat map just to give you guys a heads up because we're still kind of working in the same areas. You can see Brady. as far as repairs and stuff, you'll notice as I go through the numbers, they're down a little bit. So the heat map really hasn't changed a whole lot, just to give you guys a heads up. We can move on. So we exercised additional 11 valves this month. It's kind of a low month, so 463 valves churned to year to date. But part of this is the USA North tickets. Last month, for instance, was 244. This past month was 293. So there's been a large number of upticks in locates. There was only one USA South. I didn't really put it on there. It's just one more. So that gave us, 1,833 tickets for USA South. I'm sorry. Disregard that. I'm sorry. No, you're fine. So the year to date, as far as tickets, is it's just going crazy right now. So we're moving right along. There's been a lot of underground infrastructure that's still taking place as far as updating for fiber optics and stuff. Flushing, we have brought this program back up right now, but what you'll notice is our repairs and our replacements will go down. So you had 17 after-hour calls, and Stan, that out of those 17 calls, 5 of those calls were for customer valves to be turned on or off due to leaks on their side or turned back on. 3 led into replacements out of those service calls, and the others was just general helping people. So we had 10 repairs. I'm sorry. We had 6 repairs, 12 replacements, and we did 1 hydrant repair as well for this past month. So it's kind of the basics of the month that took place. We have just signed the final payment for the steel building to be shipped for the pipe. We welcome back an employee, so he was able to go through his emails and get us caught up. So the steel building should be shipped on the 13th of this month, hopefully. That will be the next step. Yeah, we'll have to get a concrete footing poured, and then the building will be constructed. Yes. No, sir. But we just don't have the time right now. So that will go out to bid. And that was all included when we did the capital. The heat map will change next month when the city starts paving Felspar. You'll see us go in there, and we got to do a whole bunch of work after they're done paving Felspar. We got to go back in and raise all of our valves. Okay. So you'll see a concentration probably, if we zoom in on the heat map, you'll see a concentration on Felspar. A lot of work being done on that as well.
When's the city starting Mayhem?
I don't know. I've been in contacts with one of the city employees, and they're going to be paving on the 12th and 19th. And I believe once Felspar is wrapped up, they can move on to phase 1 of Mayhem, but I don't have a solid date for you. I've been in contacts trying to do the 5-year plan with him so we can kind of stay ahead of them. Okay. And I haven't got an official date yet when Mayhem's going to start.
One thing that we can watch over there is wherever you replace the laterals, wherever you dug out is sinking quite a bit. So I don't know whether you go back and add dirt to it or what you do or.
Yeah,
whatever,
we've been in contact with the city because we added all that, and then the storm came through, and then they brought sweeper trucks through. So when we were in contact with them, they said they would take care of it on that part, and they have. We've taken some dirt over there and some road base as well. So if there's, to the public, if there's any big holes out there, let us know. We'll jump right on it.
Okay.
Back up. No problem.
So there's a bigger picture story here, and this is always the same question. How do you get more done with less dollars? And so we have a budget, and we have chosen to reinvigorate the construction crew under the hope and presumption that we will save money and save enough money in the construction and the major projects area that ultimately we will have some additional money without, increasing our budget to hire backfill people who are doing the maintenance that's also critical and still do it within the same amount of money. So what we're doing is we're shifting resources to do in-house work instead of doing it by contract, doing these large pipeline replacements and these construction jobs. That should save us money overall in our budget that ultimately we'll come back to this board and say, we're not, since we've shifted resources, the amount of maintenance, general maintenance, which is critically important, is not getting done, and we'll say, but because we're saving money on this construction stuff, we can afford to maybe hire one or two more people at some point in the future to go ahead and get that critical maintenance done as well. And this is, this is the everlasting challenge of every general manager, which is try to get more done. And this is the plan, and it seems to be working. And we will be reporting on all aspects of, that general vision as we go forward.
Thank you.
I have one further thing.
Yes.
There's a fat finger on the year to date for the USA utility marketing. It's not 12,000, just to be clear, it's 2,126 tickets. I'm sorry about my mistake up there, but it's not 12,000. 126 year to date tickets marked.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, any comments or questions for John? Yep.
Emmanuel, just a slight pat on the back here to what George just said. I watched the city for forever, and they say, we don't have enough staff to do the work, do the street work, whatever. They just contract and contract and contract out, and they pay $50 an hour to guys digging, with shovels, whoever it is. And it costs a fortune. I could go on for 15 minutes pointing out specific examples of things where it costs so much, you just drop your jaw, and in-house staff is far cheaper, and it breeds better work in general, because these guys they live here, they work here, they get to work on, what they're working on and take pride in what they're doing. They're not some fly-by-night out-of-town guy comes in, does what they have to do, just what they have to do, and that's it. And so I support that philosophy 100%.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments or questions before we move on? From the floor, from online? All right, with that, we'll move on to board comments and future agenda items. So we'll start with you, Chuck. Any comments? No comments, no future agenda items? Mallory?
I don't have anything additional.
Thank you. Stan?
I have nothing either.
Okay. And so all I've got to say is thank you to everybody. It's a job well done, and keep it up. And good luck, Ty, with all, buying all that new pipe. With that, I will adjourn this. The next meeting is March 9th, and I'll adjourn this meeting at 7:30 PM. Thank you. See.